Switching hobbies every single week isn't curiosity. It's a chronic dopamine addiction. If you don't stop this cycle right now, you won't just end up with a closet full of expensive, useless gear. You are literally destroying your brain's ability to commit to anything. Your career, your focus, your self-confidence, and your ability to build anything meaningful in life. And the longer you ignore it, the harder it gets to break. But don't panic. By the end of this video, I'll give you the exact psychological blueprint to fix this and finally stick to something. Let's start with a question. Be honest with yourself. How many hobbies have you started in the last year? Painting, guitar, running, journaling, woodworking, maybe even beekeeping. Yes, people do that. And here's the uncomfortable part. You were genuinely excited every single time. That's not a character flaw. That's neuroscience. When you discover a new hobby, your brain releases a surge of dopamine, the same chemical responsible for excitement, motivation, and that electric, this time it'll be different feeling. But here's what nobody tells you. Dopamine is released in anticipation of the reward, not the reward itself. So the moment the novelty wears off, the moment the guitar gets hard, or the painting looks nothing like the tutorial, the dopamine crashes. And your brain, already addicted to that high, starts scanning for the next new thing. Psychologists call this the novelty bias. Your brain is literally wired to find new stimuli more stimulating than familiar ones. It kept our ancestors alive. But in the modern world, with endless options at your fingertips, it's working against you. And here's where it gets darker. Stay with me here. Every time you quit a hobby early, you're not just abandoning painting or guitar. You're training your brain to quit. You are building a neural habit of giving up. Neuroscientists call this synaptic pruning. The pathways for commitment and persistence literally weaken from disuse. So the longer this cycle continues, the more it bleeds into every area of your life. That business idea you never launched, the fitness routine that lasted 2 weeks, the skill you promised yourself you'd master. Sound familiar? Now before you spiral into self-judgment, and trust me, that won't help, let's understand why this happens to intelligent, driven people more than anyone else. Here's the first culprit: identity fluidity. People who switch hobbies constantly often have a fluid sense of self. They don't yet know who they are, so they try on identities like outfits. The painter, the runner, the chef. Each hobby is a costume, not a commitment. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, yes, that's a real name, discovered that deep fulfillment doesn't come from novelty. It comes from mastery. From that state of total absorption, he called flow. And flow is only accessible after you push through the boring, frustrating middle phase that most hobby switchers never survive. That middle phase, that's where all the real growth lives. And ironically, it's where almost everyone runs away. Here's the second culprit: fear of mediocrity. Here's something almost no one talks about. Some people quit hobbies not because they're bored, but because they're terrified of finding out they're just average at it. As long as you never commit, you never have to confront your actual limits. Quitting early becomes a psychological shield. I didn't fail, I just moved on. That's not freedom, that's avoidance with good branding. And the third culprit, this one might surprise you: social media. We live in a world where the highlight reel of someone's year 5 looks exactly like their week 1. You see a guitarist shredding on Instagram and your brain registers, that should be me in a week. When it isn't, the dopamine drops and the cycle resets. You're not competing with their skill level. You're competing with your expectation, which was always the wrong opponent. Now, here's the cliffhanger. Knowing why you do something is not the same as knowing how to stop. So in the next 60 seconds, I'm giving you the psychological blueprint that actually works, and it's probably nothing like what you've heard before. Step 1. Audit your hobby graveyard. Write down every hobby you've started and abandoned in the last 2 years. Every single one. This isn't about shame, it's about pattern recognition. Look for common threads. What excited you? What made you quit? You're looking for your specific dopamine trigger so you can stop being controlled by it. Step 2. Choose one hobby and sign a 90-day contract with yourself. Not forever, just 90 days. Research shows that 66 days is the average time it takes to form a new habit. So 90 gives you a real buffer to push through the dip. Write the contract, literally. Put pen to paper. Psychological studies consistently show that written commitments dramatically increase follow-through. This isn't woo-woo, it's behavioral science. Step 3. Reframe the boring middle. When the excitement fades, and it will fade around week 2 or 3, That is not a sign to quit. That is the signal that you've arrived at the actual work. The people who become masters are not more talented. They are better at tolerating boredom than you currently are. Train your tolerance. Every session where you show up unexcited and do it anyway is a neural deposit into the bank of discipline. Step 4. Detox your feed. Unfollow accounts that make mastery look effortless. Follow creators who show the ugly, frustrating, slow middle of their craft. Your brain needs an accurate map of what progress actually looks like, not a highlight reel. And step 5, the most counterintuitive one, allow yourself to be bad at it. Not mediocre, bad. Embrace the beginner's stumble. Beginners get to make mistakes without ego on the line. That's actually a privilege, not a punishment. The moment you accept that being bad is just stage 1, you remove the psychological emergency brake that's been stopping you all along. Here's the truth nobody wants to admit. The people you admire, the ones who seem deeply skilled, deeply focused, deeply themselves, they didn't find their passion. They built it. They stayed when everything in their brain told them to quit. They pushed through the dip, survived the boring middle, and discovered that commitment, not curiosity, is what creates identity. You are not broken. Your brain is just doing what brains do. But now you know, and now you have the blueprint. So here's what I want you to do right now. Drop in the comments. What's the one hobby you're going to commit to for the next 90 days? Writing it here makes it real. And you might just find someone else in the comments doing the same thing, which means you've got an accountability partner waiting for you. If this video cracks something open for you, share it with someone who's been stuck in this cycle. It might be exactly what they need to hear today. And if you want to go deeper into the psychology of focus, habits, and how your brain actually works, subscribe and stay close. See you in the next one.